You know, we've all heard of Sun Tzu's Art of War. It's been on the bookshelf of every general, every CEO for centuries. But what if we've been reading it all wrong? What if it's not just a list of rules, but a hidden operating system for gaining a strategic edge? Well, today, we're going to decode it. Let's jump in.
And that's the big question, right? Because when you really look past all the talk of chariots and soldiers, you find this incredible blueprint for psychological warfare. And believe me, it is shockingly relevant to your career, to your negotiations, to pretty much any competitive situation you can think of today.
So forget trying to memorize all the individual points. The real magic, the real power is in understanding the system that connects them all. We're not just going to read the manual today. We're going to find the source code. We're going to unlock the whole thing.
So where do we even begin? Well, it all starts with the single most important idea in the entire playbook. This is the engine that drives every other move. It all comes down to one thing: control.
This right here, this is the master key. I mean it. Everything else we're about to talk about flows directly from this one concept. It's not about being stronger or faster or richer. It's about making the other person play your game. Period.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it means you set the agenda in the meeting. You frame what success looks like for a project. You choose the ground on which the argument will be fought. You're literally creating the reality your opponent has to live in. They're reacting to you, not the other way around.
And that's our first huge takeaway. Real strategy isn't about the brilliant moves you make during the fight. It's about all the work you do beforehand to make sure that fight happens on your terms in a way that favors you. So how do you do that? Let's get into the first pillar.
Okay, pillar 1. This is all about pure, relentless proactivity. It's about being the one who acts, not the one who reacts. It's about grabbing the initiative right from the start and just never, ever letting it go.
Now, what's so cool here is that this isn't just a list. It's a sequence. It's a chain reaction. You start by getting there first, right? So you're ready and waiting while your opponent is just scrambling to catch up. Then you set the bait. You lure them into a position you want them in. You apply pressure, forcing their hand, and what happens? They're constantly on the back foot, totally exhausted, just reacting to you.
So the bottom line for this section is this: if you control the pace of the game, you control everything. You drain their energy, you drain their resources. They're so busy putting out the fires you started that they have no time or energy to build a fire of their own.
All right, so you've seized the initiative. You're in the driver's seat. What's next? Well, this is where the game gets really psychological. Pillar 2 is all about the art of misdirection, about becoming completely unreadable and weaponizing uncertainty.
Now listen, this isn't just about keeping a few secrets. It's about operating on a level your opponent can't even see. I mean, think about the psychological pressure that creates. If they have no idea where you are, or what you want, or what you're going to do next, they become paralyzed, just frozen by all the possibilities. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look at the difference. The amateur is predictable. They show off their strengths. They defend their obvious weak points. But the master? Totally unreadable. They hide their real plan. And because of that, the opponent has to defend everything at once. And if you have to defend everything, well, you're strong nowhere.
This is so fundamental. Creating confusion and uncertainty in your opponent's mind is often way more powerful than any direct physical attack. You let them wear themselves out chasing ghosts and preparing for threats that might not even be real. Their own imagination becomes your most powerful weapon.
Okay, so you've set the stage, you've seized control, and you've created total confusion. Now, it's time to act. But how? This final pillar isn't about using brute force. It's about being fluid, efficient, and incredibly intelligent.
Now, this sounds so simple, almost obvious. But think about it. What's our first instinct? It's to go head-to-head, strength against strength. That is messy, it's costly, and it's inefficient. The master strategist doesn't try to knock down the fortified wall. They just flow around it and pour into the cracks that are left undefended.
And these weak points aren't always a physical thing. In our world, a weak point can be a competitor's slow, bureaucratic process. It can be a leader's ego that you know exactly how to provoke. It could be an entire industry just clinging to old assumptions. You don't fight the fortress, you find the side gate they forgot to lock. And this is the big lesson here. We need to completely redefine what strength is. It's not being an unbreakable rock. It's being an uncontainable river. The water just adapts. It flows around the rock, and given enough time, it will wear that rock down to nothing.
So, we've just decoded this incredibly powerful blueprint for gaining a strategic advantage in, well, almost any situation you can imagine. But that leads to one final, really critical question.
I mean, think about it. If the code is this clear, if the system is this effective, why isn't everyone a master strategist? Why do we see people fail to use this all the time? Well, the answer has nothing to do with the opponent. The reason this all falls apart is because of us. The biggest obstacles are internal.
First up, ego. It's as simple as that. That burning desire to be seen, to get the credit, to look powerful. It's the exact opposite of that divine art of subtlety and secrecy we talked about. A true master is happy to be invisible and just let the results do the talking. Ego needs to broadcast the attack before it even lands.
Second, fear. The fear of taking a risk, the fear of failure, the fear of looking stupid. This is what stops you from seizing the initiative in the first place. It keeps you on defense, always reacting, never acting. Fear keeps you from striking at that perceived weakness because, hey, what if you're wrong? Fear always chooses to do nothing.
And finally, habit. You know, the comfort of doing what we've always done. We repeat the tactics that worked for us last time, totally forgetting that the battlefield is always changing. We become rigid, predictable. We become the exact opponent that this entire blueprint is designed to take apart. Habit is the opposite of being like water.
So I'll leave you with this. You can study this blueprint. You can master every pillar of this system. But at the end of the day, your greatest vulnerability isn't what your opponent knows about your strategy. It's what they know about your habits.